What's up, fantasy people? There's a new running back one in town, and nobody expected this. All right, many men wish death upon he, blood in his eyes, dog, and he can't see. He's trying to be what he's destined to be, and suckers tried to take his life away. Tried to kick a little rhyme for that man, Brian Robinson of the Washington Going Commandos. Great couple weeks thus far for B-Rob. He sits as the running back 3 currently through only 2 weeks, I know, but that's on the back of a week 1 where he saw 19 carries and 59 yards, but he salvaged his day with a touchdown on his only reception, so that's a nice week 1. And in week 2, big day for B-Rob. He was the running back 1 on the week in all scoring formats with 18 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, another 2 receptions for 42 yards, which is a nice little cherry on top. So the big boy is a big play threat. Obviously, I'm expecting that to cool a little bit from that 28-point night he just had in week 2, and I know that he's not that big receiving threat, only those 2 receptions in week 3 on the season, in week 2. But he can get a couple each game, and he can make a big play here and there, as we saw in week 2. And when we look at the past 4 years at running backs 7 through 12, so those running backs who finished in the back half of the top 12, they've only averaged 47 receptions. So I think he could get in the neighborhood of that. Obviously, I don't think he will. And even if he doesn't hit that mark, those same running backs over those 4 years averaged 7 rushing touchdowns, which I think is very attainable for him. And I think he could even exceed that a little bit. So it's not like he needs 20 touchdowns to make up for the receiving deficiencies he has to be able to finish as that top 12 running back. To steal a term that I heard first from my friend Dan Williamson over on the GOAT District podcast, go check those boys out. Love JD and Dan on the GOAT District. But you look at his ecosystem, so everything that is around Brian Robinson. Antonio Gibson, he's getting snaps, but for how long? I think it's not going to be long before he gets dirt napped on this depth chart with Christian Rodriguez behind him. 41% of the snaps through 2 games. Antonio Gibson has 5 rushing attempts to James. It's always a Robinson coming out of the woodwork. Antonio Gibson has those 5 rushing attempts over 2 games to Robinson's 37, and Gibson's run almost double the routes that Robinson has, but they both have 4 targets, and Robinson's been more efficient as a pass catcher, I'd say. So looking at what's negative around him, obviously game script is a bit of an elephant in the room for Brian Robinson. The Commanders aren't going to be getting out to big leads and pounding the rock 20 times in the second half necessarily, but I do think that defense is a little bit frisky to keep them in games, in which case Brian Robinson's still going to be a factor. And then look at their quarterback situation. Sam Howell at the helm. Everybody knows that a young quarterback's best friend is a strong run game, and Brian Robinson can be that strong run game for Washington. He scored 14 more fantasy points than expected through 2 games, and that's per Fantasy Points Data's expected fantasy points. Shout out to Scott Barrett and the team over there. Go check out the data suite. That's what I've been digging all of my shit up the last couple of weeks has been on the Fantasy Points Data suite. So shout out to those guys. Go check it out. It's good fun. But yeah, he's just going to get all that valuable running back work on this team. And I'm not sure that my flag is planted in Brian Robinson just yet, but I'm starting him with confidence on any team that I've got him. And I think he's got some top 12 upside this season. So go get you some Brian Robinson if there's still any discount to be had. I doubt it off that 2 touchdown week in week 2. But if you can go put some feelers out there, maybe he does have a little stretch where he has a couple dud games. Happens to the best of them. But you can go out there and make a trade for him because it looks like they trust him as the lead runner. And we know that this man can get through anything. So thanks for watching. Make sure you go follow on all the socials at True North FFB on Twitter and Instagram. Like and leave comments on all of them. And yeah, shout out for listening. Really appreciate it. It's good to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.